Brothers, welcome back. I was asked quite a few times to make a Bubo damage guide, so that is what we are going to do today. Wanted to be one of the first to tell you Happy New Year's. We made it through another crazy year, and nothing but gains this year. So hopefully everyone is doing good. There's going to be a lot to cover in a damage guide, so let's get into it.
You gotta just press record.
Alright, so for starters, let's get a couple ground rules out of the way. A couple things I'm not going to talk about is going to be weapons, because weapons are very subjective. I mean, the answer is always going to be get the best weapon you can, right? So really nothing to talk about there. As far as armor is also very subjective because, I go in the main Discord and I see somebody pushing World 5 and just full Amarok. So it's possible. So the answer there is always going to be, hey, craft whatever armor you want, craft the best armor you can. So those are two things I'm not going to talk about. I'm also not going to talk about any of the bonuses from the gym shop. So having to buy stuff, i.e., special hats, special rings, wings, anything like that you can't just obtain yourself. So I'm not going to talk about those either. But I am going to talk about everything from World 1 to World 5. And where better to start than at the beginning. So we're going to get back to World 1 and we're going to go through that. Alright, one of the first things that you're going to have is going to be your statues. So there is 5 different statues that are going to, directly affect your damage, or they're going to affect your crit chance or crit damage, things like that. So the first one is going to be power, which is going to give a flat base damage increase. Then we're going to scroll down to feisty. Now, at level 95, giving me a 95% food effect. You might be asking, well, how does that increase my damage? Well, there are potions that increase damage, increase movement speed, and yada, yada, yada. So something that can increase your damage potions, that is going to be a direct increase to your damage. Going to come on down to Kachow. So at level 14, quite low. You can get yours higher than mine. I just haven't been bothered to get more. Is a increase to your crit damage. Scroll down just a little bit more. We're going to come to the Beholder, which is going to increase your crit chance. More crit chance means you're going to hit bigger numbers. And that in-state goal is to get over 200%. That way every single hit is going to be a mega crit. So you cannot sleep on the Beholder. And then with the addition of World 5, we got the Battle Axe, which is just going to give you a percent damage increase. Alright, we're going to take about 2 steps to the right and we're going to come over to the stamp section. And this is one that I see slept on a lot just from doing a lot of IE reviews. And it's, the stamps are low. And, individually it may not seem like a huge increase, but we have, just for starters, the sword stamp, just base damage. Then we're going to come over to here. Tomahawk stamp, it's going to give you a percent total damage. Your longsword, again, base damage. Kapow for that critical damage. Battle Axe for, percent total damage. Going to scroll on down. Your book stamp, which is going to give you base wisdom. Your scimitar, base damage. Polearm, again, percent total damage. Then we're going to got the arcane stamp, which is base wisdom. Your stat graph stamp, which is all stats, so wisdom. Your Avast Yar stamp, base damage. Steve Sword from the Million Followers, which is percent total damage. Your Gilded Axe, which is base damage. Diamond Axe, which is percent total damage. And then from the World 5 quests, we have the Intellecto Stampo, which is going to be a very large increase to our base wisdom. So definitely recommend pushing that in World 5. And then before we leave stamps, you're going to come over to the miscellaneous tab. There's the Potion Stamp, which is percent effect from boost food like potions. So again, for people who wear the boost potions, so that increased my base damage by 699 just because I have a lot of modifiers on it. So there is still one more thing we need to talk about in World 1, and that is going to be the constellations in the star sign. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to progress as much as humanly possible. You want to get all the way through the Cronus and into the Hydron section, and I'm going to recommend the Bulwark. So that is a 20% total damage increase at the cost of 12% movement speed. We don't really care about the movement speed because we can offset that with movement potions. And what we're losing is nothing compared to what we can gain with potions. And then the Feisty, total 6% total damage. Later on when we start talking about chips, we will have a chip that's going to double everything that we're talking about here. So you're looking at the Overachiever, which is 15% total damage at the cost of negative 7% fight AFK gain, which we don't care about. A Bubo is active at all times, so we take that. So when we double, that is going to be 30% total damage. That is going to be 12. and that is going to be 20%. So you're looking at 82% total damage just from here. This is going to be one of your all-time biggest increases to your damage for your Bubo. So definitely recommend, if you have been sleeping on the Starsigns and have not been completing them, to push this today and get it done. It's going to be one of the biggest increases to your account, and I cannot overstate how good it is. Alright, we are now starting World 2. No better way to start off than with Alchemy. So, per my notes, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bubbles just in this cauldron, and we're just going to talk about the purple cauldron today. There's obviously things like the new Big P that came with World 5 that's going to increase your bonus from the deity. So, if you have the Nubis Sect, the big Praying Mantis, this would obviously be a damage increase. But not to overload you guys, I'm just going to talk about the main bubbles in the purple cauldron for your Bubo. That way I'm not, just dumping too much information on you guys. I don't want you to fall asleep while I'm talking. So we're going to get into it. The first one, Stable Genius. It is a base total wisdom. Really good as you get up in levels. It might be hard to keep up with the thread counts, but this one is, your bread and butter. Number 2, Mage's Best, are all purple passive bonuses, which are the smaller size ones. So all of these are going to give you a 2.42 times more bonus to your mage-based characters. So that's really good because it's going to give us even more for our Stable Genius. Then my notes say we're going to move on up to number 5, which is Name I Guess, which is going to increase base damage by a certain number. This is how much max MP you have above 150. As you can see, we're rocking just over 47,000, so that's going to increase our base damage by a good chunk. Then the notes tell me I need to go to number 9. So number 9, Maddie Stafford, probably one you are very familiar with. It is total damage, percent total damage. It is a great bubble, and while we're here, I just want to point out, if you did not know, the other 2 cauldrons, which are the orange and green, they all offer the exact same thing. So all these total damages are going to add together. So you're looking at my, for my example, 26 plus another 26 plus another 26. So I kept them all, relatively close together. So you're looking at, what is that, 52.78%. So when you get to here, level 9 should be really one of your first focal points. And then you just want to level these kind of up in tandem across the board because it is going to increase your Bubo's damage. And then my notes say let's get on up to number 14, which should be this one. So Sever Purple, the following purple bubbles are going to give you a times higher bonus than what they display. And that is our 1, 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 12th bubble. Now, not a lot of these are going to affect the damage, but what we do want to focus on is that number 1, which is going to be our base wisdom. And that's where we're going to see a lot of our gains come from. Then we're going to move on up out of here, and now we're in the World 5 bubble. So if you haven't unlocked these, there's actually 3 bubbles just in World 5 alone for the Purple Cauldron that are going to increase our damage. So first one we're going to look at is 17, the Wand Power. Level 40, that's giving me a 16% more weapon power from my weapon, but only if it's a wand. So great percent weapon power. Then we're going to move on up to 20, which is Slab Wisdom. It's going to give you base wisdom per 100 items found shown on the slab. And we'll talk about the slab here in a little bit, but this is a very good bonus, especially if you can get it higher. And then the last one, Power Try 3. So it is percent total damage per 250 wisdom. So if you go into your stats, you can see I'm at 6,344, which is, it's pretty low. So 250 per, so you're looking at every 1,000 you're getting 4, just under 8% total damage for every 1,000. So huge bubble. This is from sailing, so it's going to be kind of hard to get unless you're progressing, quite rapidly. A little trick is if you just want to, dip into it, maybe just a little bit, you can come in here, and the first couple levels are going to be more or less free if you get it 90% off. It doesn't get until you're at around 4 or 5 where the 90% doesn't limit it to a point where you can actually use it. So that's just a little tip for you guys. All right, we're just going to come right on over to the Vials. And the first one is going to be Tail Time. So you're going to get that from Rat Tails over in World 1. At level 9, only giving me 9 weapon power. It is small, but as everything in this game, it kind of compounds. Everything adds up, and then all these multipliers of 4, 5, 10%, they really start to pop off. So looking at Tail Time, then we're going to come all the way over here. Now we're in World 4. Pearl Seltzer, plus 1% all stats. Now, this one is going to be hard for you to level up, understood, right? Nobody wants to grind something like 2,000 plus, pearls just to get this to level 4. So, understood, but, base level 1, you're still getting a 1% all stats increase. Dump your pearls there, at least unlock the vial. Even if it's at level 1, that's still something. And then the last one is going to be Krakenade. That is 18 weapon power, so it is 2 weapon power per level of your vial. Alright, last thing here we're going to talk about is going to be odd literature. So it is in the the sigil section. You're going to look for odd literature. At max, it's going to give you another 20 wisdom. Then you look at the plunging sword. It's going to boost at max base damage by 225. Then you're going to come over here to the emoji veggie. It's going to boost the effect of all golden food by plus 10%. If I had this maxed, it'd be 20%. So golden food are a great way to increase your damage, and that's something we're going to talk about in the food section, so just stay tuned for that. Alright, we are now over at the post office. As you can see, I spent a couple more pins just trying to completely max the new post office. So we're going to run through this bad boy pretty quickly. First thing you're going to look at, and this is in terms of maxing your P.O. box, not necessarily the order you should do it. So don't take this as, hey, follow this, but if you are going to max your P.O. box, all of these are going to be maxed anyways. So this is just how to increase your damage. So we're going to max out our Civil War memory box. It's going to give us base damage. Obviously, we don't care about the fight AFK gains, but we do care about the critical chance. So at level 400, this is what this is going to give you. Then we're also going to unlock and max the Magician Starter Pack. That is going to give us 134 base max MP. It's going to give us faster cooldowns and max MP. Now that's important because if you remember back in the Alchemy section, we actually get more base damage based on our max mana. Then we're going to want to try and max our Care Pack from Mum. On top of being awesome because it gives you a chance to not consume food, it also increases the power food effect. So try to max that as much as you can. Then we're going to come over into the second section. One of the first and best ways to increase your damage from the P.O. box is going to be the Death Storage Unit. It's going to give you at max 14.7 weapon power, 10.7% basic attack speed, and a nice juicy 9% total damage. Then we're going to come on over to the new, well, this one was in World 4, but you had to get to a certain level in Arena, so I'm not sure off the top of my head what exactly that level is, but once you unlock that in Arena, it was changed in World 5. It now maxes out at 100,000. Accidentally spent 800 of them, so I didn't max one of my P.O. boxes. But Myriad Crate, if you can get that to 100,000, which is going to take a minute, it's going to give you a just glorious amount of base all stats. Now, base all efficiency and skills XP does not matter to us because this is just for a damage guide, but the base all stats is obviously very, very nice for us. Then we're going to look at the Scurvy Crate. Now, we don't care about the AFK counts for sailing because, again, damage guide. But the agility does go into our accuracy. And accuracy is going to be very important when we start talking about talents because there's going to be a talent called Over Accurate Crit where the more accuracy you have, the accuracy overflow, you're going to get a higher crit chance. So this is going to come into play. But the main thing, just in terms of damage, is the nice juicy plus 15% total damage for spending 800 crates on the Scurvy Crate. Now, the Box of Gosh, we're not going to care about the Divinity XP or the Divinity Gain, but that is a nice juicy 150 Wisdom. And then we're going to come over to the Gaming Loot Crate. We don't care about the AFK counts for gaming. We care less about the strength, but we do care once this is maxed. That's going to give us another 15% total damage. So we're looking at, 30% total damage just from these two bad boys. Alright, and possibly the one thing I have neglected the most out of anything in this game is going to be the Obols. I am not a professional when it comes to Obols, so I'm going to keep it short. I did a damage, family / personal Obol setup, and now I'm trying to fix it, and I'm trying to get a, pop Obol setup. That way my drop chances can go up. If you're looking just for terms of pure damage, it will make a difference, but I would recommend spending a little bit more time going after pop Obols and increasing your drop rate chance. That's the way you're not, waiting on drops. But for me, I went with a complement of Wisdom Obols, which are going to give you 1 weapon power and 12 Wisdom. I put them in all of my square slots, and then I went with a Frozen Obol of Chiswar's Rage. It's going to give you 4 weapon power, 2 defense, and 4% total damage. 2 of those in my personal, and then I believe I have 3 of them in my family. And then obviously this one would be a troll, but I am waiting because Lava has said if you can do enough damage, you can just one-shot the troll. It's going to go straight through the shield, so I'm waiting to farm those. Now, I'm not sure which one would be better, whether it be a Golden Obol of Big Boy Damage, or if it would be a Golden Wisdom Obol. I would assume if you were to fill these all up, you'd want to go with the Platinum Wisdom Obol and just have a full family of complement in all of the circles with these Platinum Wiz Obols. But if you played the game for any amount of time, Obols are kind of hard to get and especially level up. So this is the best I can do at the moment. And then for all of these sparkles, you're going to try and get the Jagged Obol of Massive Trolling. Phenomenal Obol. It's going to give you 4 weapon power, 9 of our main stat, and then 3% all stats. So I do have 2 of those. Alright, we are booking it. We're already in World 3. We are at the prayer section. So here I would recommend getting Unending Energy just because this is an active Bubo. So it's going to give us, class and skill XP. We care about the class, and this will probably be the only non-damage thing I'm going to add to the video, just because more levels equals more talents equals more, flushing out your account. So this will probably be the only one I talk about, but we are mainly here for the circular criticals. I am 4 levels off of max, but it's going to give you a pretty decent critical hit chance. And again, our goal is to hit that 202 point, well, not 202 anything, but anything above 200% crit chance. That way we can mega crit. So I would recommend getting this bad boy and then trying to max it as much as humanly possible. All right, and then we're going to come over to the Salt Lick. Here is a very hard one if you're looking in terms of maxing, and that is going to be at the cost of penguins. It is the last thing you will unlock on the Salt Lick. Even at level 46, it's giving you a minuscule 4.6% total damage dealt. So this is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a super important one to unlock. But in terms of, trying to hit every single damage source that I can, I thought I would include it. And just like that, we are back into World 4. So one of the big ones I want to talk about is going to be in cooking, so let's start there. So we're just going to scroll through this. Obviously, Turkey Yellow Thank is the first thing that you unlock, and you're looking at a pretty healthy 2% total damage per plate that you cook. So we're going to obviously try and get this one up as high as humanly possible. Obviously past 31 it gets kind of crazy, where they're asking for, quintillions of a certain meal, but we're going to try and get that as high as we can. Then we're going to scroll on down, and then one of the next things that we're going to try and unlock is going to be the Octoplop. So this one's a little bit better, so every single level is going to be another 2% total damage. This one obviously won't be as high as the Turkey Yellow Thank, just because it's going to take more resources, more cooking speed in order to make it, but still is a very healthy total damage source. It's going to scroll on down just a little bit more. Now, Cheesy Bread is going to play into our damage build, just because, again, the higher your accuracy is, you're going to be able to turn that into crit chance. So again, we're going to talk about over accurate crit here in a second, and then this is just going to make so much more sense. But we're including this into our damage guide just because more accuracy, more crit chance. Scrolling on down, we are going to go to the Massive Fig. So this one is fantastic. It is a 3% total damage per plate made. So if this was at 30%, we're looking at a nice juicy 90% total damage. Obviously, this is probably one of the last things that you're going to unlock, especially from World 4. But it is one of the biggest unlocks. So definitely recommend getting it and then trying to pump it up as much as you can. Alright, we are now in the lab. This is going to be a huge chunk of damage. As you can see, I'm running my lab currently with 6 of my characters right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There is one that we're going to miss as far as a damage source, and that is going to be The Pyramite, all players will deal 1.15 times more damage. This bonus is applied twice if all orange jewels are active. It's just not a big enough increase. Obviously, if you have 7 characters in the lab, you should be able to quite easily touch it. It's just not a big enough increase for me to want to sacrifice, you know, having 7 guys in the lab right now. At a later time, that might be possible to have it plugged in with only 6, but for right now, it's just not. So we got 9 things we got to talk about here. First one's going to be Animal Farm. It's going to give you a % total damage for every different species you have bred within pet breeding. Now, only need to breed it one time for that bonus to count. We're also going to talk about the purple Navette. So it's actually going to give you a plus 75% per species. So 84% total damage from this just because of all the animals I have bred. It's a pretty solid bonus, right? So just something that you're doing for free and you're getting the bonus for it. Then we're going to come over to the Sapphire Navette. All players will get 4.5% all stat, strength, agility, focusing on wisdom here because we're a Bubo. Then we're going to come over to the Certified Stamp Book. And that is all stamps except for miscellaneous tab stamps give double the bonus. And we love this one because there's a lot of stamps that are going into either base damage, into wisdom, into total damage. So this is a just, you know, huge increase to our damage. We're going to scroll on over. And then we're going to come to my first chemistry set. All vials in alchemy give double the bonus. The bonus description will reflect this doubling. So there was those 3 vials that we talked about that give either weapon power or % total stats. So this is a good one. Then we're going to look at the Spelunker Obol. It's going to give you a 1.5 times higher effect from all active jewels, which is good because we did have that active Sapphire Navette. Then we're going to come over to this bad boy, and this is probably something that you're familiar with. It's the Unadulterated Banking Fury. Mine's a little bit low. I haven't spent a lot of time trying to get green stacks, but this is going to give you a 3.5% if you have the Black Diamond Ulthrite, if I said that right. That's going to give us another 1.5%, so total 3.5% total damage for each green stack of a resource in your bank. A green stack is one with 10 million or more items. There's obviously a lot of kerfluffle right now with what's going to happen to our green stacks with this whole new Atom Collider. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to speculate, but as it stands right now, we're looking at 185.5% total bonus. Then last but not least, we're looking at the Black Diamond Rhinestone. So all meal bonuses as shown as the dinner table menu actually give 1.24 times higher bonus than what is shown. So if a bonus is 100%, it is actually giving 124%. So those are the 9 things I want to talk about in the lab that are going to give you a direct damage increase. Alright, for this portion, we're actually going to jump over into the nanochip section on the wiki, just because I didn't know these things actually had names, and I'd like to give you guys the actual name, that way you can, you know, do your own research later, as opposed to saying, oh, you know, get this one, and then there's not a name attached, and it's hard for you to find it. So this is my setup for my Bubo. Of course, you're going to want to run the chocolatey chip. 75% chance to spawn a crystal mob when one dies, can only equip 1 per player. This is just huge in terms of money gain, in terms of experience, being able to flush out your account because you're gaining these levels as fast as you are. Cannot stress this enough. Chocolatey chip, it makes a Bubo. Then we're going to come down. The next thing we're going to try and get is going to be the poker chip. So that's going to give you, your weapon gives 1.25 times more weapon power, can only equip 1 per player. Then we're going to look at the Silk Road Nano Chip. Doubles the bonuses of all those active star signs. So if you remember the star sign section, this one is huge, and that's what gives us a humongous bonus from completing our star signs. Then we're going to go for the Silk Road Motherboard. Doubles the miscellaneous bonuses of the currently equipped trophy. Now, either trophy that you equip, I personally prefer either the Trailblazer for more experience or the Beach Bros for more money. Both are solid trophies. This isn't a damage increase, but it is an account increase because you're either leveling your character faster or you're making more money for your account. So I consider this one an absolute must. Then we're going to come down to the Silk Road Processor. It doubles the miscellaneous bonus of the currently equipped pendant. Now, most people, I believe, they run the Caustic Chiswar Scarf. So that's going to give you an increase to the monster respawn rate as well as damage. Absolutely a great nano chip. And then the last two, And this is RNG dependent, so I understand you may not have one or either of these, but this is definitely something that you do want to push for, and that's to get the Omega Nano Chip and the Omega Motherboard. So this is going to double the bonus of the card equipped in the top left slot, and this is going to double the bonus of the card equipped in the bottom right slot. And this will make just a little bit more sense. Once we get done with World 5, I'm going to jump into cards and card sets. So just stick with me for just a little bit longer, and I'll take care of you. So that's going to cover it for the nano chips. Let's get into probably the biggest increase, which was World 5. All right, we are now in World 5, and I'm just looking at the gods. We are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've stopped Divinity for a second just because the last two gods, they're just not fully implemented into the game, and unlocking them right now just doesn't really do a whole lot for me. So we have stopped with Divinity. The one god I want to talk about is Novasect. So all kills count for 2 times more kills for opening portals and accumulating Death Note kills. The passive bonus plus 70% total damage. Phenomenal for your active Bubo as well as both of your bowmen. The passive bonus can be increased by that bubble that I did show you in Alchemy. So if we come over to Alchemy, that is your big P. It's given a 1.19 times higher bonus than displayed from the passive bonus of the deity you're linked into in Divinity, aka bigger god bonuses. So that's just going to give us a little bit more total damage. None of the other gods, I think, really give you anything. Blessing, which affects all characters. This one's going to be very, very nice once we find out what these little swirls are. Some people are saying it's from Divinity, it's from gaming. I personally don't know, so I'm not going to speculate here. Just as a side note, did max the bear today, which is fantastic. I love it. So we're going to jump out of here. Next thing I want to talk about is going to be your artifacts. There's a few artifacts, and a couple of these I'm going to actually have to go over to the wiki to discuss with you, just because I don't have them yet. The last couple of the ones here. But for the ones I do have, one of the biggest one is the Ruble Cubal. So 1% total damage for every 10 items found after 500, as shown as a slab. So total bonus, it's giving us 142% damage. And this would be the slab up here. So it is essentially the account version of Looty McShooty for the Hunter. And it's tracking everything you have gotten, you have made, you have in your bank, in your storage chests, in your inventory, and all of this counts minus the things we're no longer allowed to get because this came in a little bit late. So it is a account progression tool. Lets you know what you haven't gotten before, like our God Shard, ores, and bars, and all that counts towards getting you more damage. So we're going to close out of that. We're going to come to the fun hippo, the hippo. So it is 6% total damage per power of 10 construction build rate. So total bonus right now is 65% damage. So obviously getting that squire up, getting him as strong as humanly possible, going to boost your damage just passively that way. Then we need to talk about the post office. The post office that I talked about when we were discussing World 2, you're not just going to have these post office open the day that you unlock World 5. This is something that you're actually going to have to do sailing and to unlock. So we're looking at the Silver Ankh. This is going to be for the Wisdom box. This is going to be for the Gaming box. So this would be Gaming. This one will be Divinity. This one will be Sailing. So luckily Silver Ankh is the first one, so you're going to be pretty good to go there. Now this one is a point of contention just because this is not necessarily a damage increase, and we're going to be talking about talents here in a second, but to really break a Bubo, there's a few talents that once you hit level 200 plus become insane. Obviously the main one's going to be Tentacle Eye. Where it is right now, even up to level 185, which I've got it at, that's only a 2-second off a cooldown. Once that hits the 200 breakpoint, it becomes 3 seconds, and you can see where that just kind of snowballs and becomes insane. So although this isn't quote-unquote a direct damage increase, I'm going to count it as, because there are talents that increase damage, and if you really want to break a Bubo, it's going to come from the Fury Relic, not the Furry Relic, the Fury Relic. And then the Chilled Yarn, all sigils in Alchemy give 2 times their displayed bonus, the ancient form bonus, the artifact's main bonus is doubled. We do have a couple sigils. There is the damage increase one, there is the gold food effect one, and the wisdom one. So there's a couple sigils that we do care about. So this is a good one, not necessarily the biggest damage increase, but a good one to have nonetheless. And then just throwing this in here, I did get lucky and got a phenomenal trade today of mushrooms for, what is it, 62 mushrooms for, you know, a couple million gold bars. So just wanted to show you guys, this is what the level 200 boat looks like. It's actually pretty sick. Disregard the low speed, just traded out a terrible level 11 speed boat for this guy. So it's going to be much better once we get him pumped up. We've got 14 boats going for the Fury Relic, so you know we should get that pretty shortly. All right, now that we have talked about everything else in the game, we're going to bring it back home. We're going to talk about the talents, and then we're going to talk about the cards. So let's just go in order. Mana booster, it's going to be important just because the more mana that we have, there's obviously that base damage increase that we get from the vial back in World 2. We have the sharpened axe. Got mine maxed out as much as I possibly can at 194. It's going to give us 48.5 base weapon power. Then we're going to look at the quickness boots just because, again, agility, which is the accuracy stat for mages, and I'll show you my accuracy here in a second. It's going to count for another star talent that we do want because it's going to increase our crit chance based off of our accuracy. The Book of the Wise, of course, gotta have it. Level I've got it at right now. It's giving me 442 base wisdom. Huge, huge, huge. This can get, you know, pumped up to crazy numbers. Gilded Sword, just, you know, a flat 1% damage per level to all monsters. Great to have it. And then damage dealt is increased by 87% for every power of 10 max MP you have. So boosting our MP is giving us 404% total damage. So we cannot stress it enough. Farsight increases crit chance by 14.1, crit damage by 27%. Phenomenal. This is going to be a good one to, you know, get up to as high as I possibly can get it. Ignore the idle casting. I'm wasting points until I unlock the Fury Relic. Then we're going to respec. MP, again, humongous. It's increased max MP by 316%. Great one to have. Knowledge is power. The effect your wisdom stat has on damage is increased by 252%. Untwisted Robes, because you're probably going to have more talent points than you know what to do with. It's going to give 242% more wisdom than what is listed. Power Overwhelming, the effect weapon power has on damage dealt is increased by 200%. This one, again, you're just going to have more points than you know what to do with, so why not just throw them in there. Individual Insight, base wisdom, this is going to be another really good one to get to level 210, just pump in all the extra points that you have. And then this one is actually a small increase, but, you know, since we're talking damage, I want to talk about everything I can. So if you have run out of things in tab 2 to spend points on and you're looking for a little bit more damage, based off of your chopping game high score at level 160, you're getting 4.34% damage per 25 points of your minigame high score. So, you know, 25, 50, 75, 100, 125. Obviously, next break point for me would be 150. So that's just another, you know, pretty nice way to get some damage. Viral, I can't talk today. The Vials. So 7.51% damage dealt for every Alchemy Vial upgraded to at least green level. Green level is going to be level 4. So with me, I'm at 54 green plus Alchemy Vials. That's going to give us another massive increase of 405% damage. And I can't think of it on the top of my head, but there's at least 6, 7, maybe even 8 vials that came with World 5. So definitely jump in there, definitely get those to at least level 4. Occult Obols. Obols give 90% more wisdom than what is listed. Mandatory. Stupendous Statues. XP Lumber Bob and Cauldron. Statues give 69% more bonus. We like this one because, you know, it's going to give us more alchemy XP. So we pick it up because we have extra points. Wizwumbo. 167 max talent level for Book of the Wise. Really good. Obviously, when I respec, going to try and get this one and this one up as high as possible. But that's just base damage. Fantasia Flasks. Each level of Mage's Best Bubble raises max level of Farsight up to 109. And then obviously I'm just putting points into these random things until I get the Fury Relic, and then I'm going to respec anyways. Going to come on over to the Bubo tab. We're going to look in Wired and Power. 4.4 weapon power for every 10 lab levels of this character. We're at lab level 125. Obviously, we could throw him back in there for another 5 levels, get a little bit more increase, but it's not going to be a huge increase. Once you're in the 100 plus, you're probably going to be pretty good. Skill Wiz, just putting points into this because again, I've got too many points, but it's giving you a free, 6 wisdom. So at a certain point when this character is, probably closer to 500 and everything else has been maxed, probably going to put points back into this. But we're definitely going to want to pick up Utmost Intellect. That is at level 166 and 9.3% wisdom and 166 max talent level Book of the Wise. That's why that is able to get up into the 400s. The Family Guy, 24.6 larger family bonus than what is displayed from bonuses given by this player. So if we go into the Codex, we go into the family, scroll on down to the Bubo. That has given us 3.26% all stats, strength, agility, wisdom, and luck. Then we're going to come on down to the Symbols of Beyond. This is going to be another really good one to get to just 200 because again, it's only for every 20 levels, so 210 is not going to do anything for us. So that's going to be an extra, 2 levels there. So all talents are going to get 11 free levels just for having it at level 1. All right, now we're going to jump into our star talents. So we're looking at the beginner best class. It's 1 base weapon power every 10 levels of your best beginner. Caps at level 31, which works out for me because my Maestro is at level 300. The Will of the Eldest, it's +1 all stats for every 10 levels of your highest character. Once this character hits 410, I'm obviously going to put 1 more point into that. Then we're going to come on over to the second tab. We're going to look at Frothy Malk, so boost foods like potions at level 88, which I need to actually level this up some more. It's going to give me 32% higher bonuses than normal. Then we're going to come down to the Dungeonic Damage. So this is something that you're going to unlock from the dungeon. World 1, obviously best one, I love it. So it's giving me 6.85% damage for every power of 10 dungeon credits I've earned. So with my 315,000 credits earned, I'm at 37.6. It's a small damage increase, but a damage increase nonetheless. Then of course the big boy, Mega Crit, plus 10% crit chance. If over 100% crit chance, you can Mega Crit for 400% more damage. So the way that works is I'm at 202.8%. So every single hit's going to be a Mega Crit. Now, let's say you are a little bit lower, you're at 102. Right? So you can crit and you'll have a 2% chance, right? So you're at 102, you have a 2% chance for one of those crits to be a Mega Crit. So that's the way that works. Then we're going to come into here and disregard what I've got leveled up here. We're going to come straight here. So over accurate crit. So 5.29% crit chance for every power of 10 accuracy above 100% crit chance. So I have 3.97 million accuracy overflow on my Bubo. So that's giving me 34, almost 35% crit chance. So when you look in here, that's why this is, starting to creep up even more past 200%, just because I keep leveling up things with agility. I keep leveling up my accuracy bubble. So this is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So that is going to wrap it up for talents. Now we're going to jump into one of my favorite sections, which is cards. And cards at this level in the game can make a humongous difference, and I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. So when we are talking cards, I put together 3 different sets, right? So the first one, let's just say you're trying to push, you're trying to get some new items. Damage really isn't a factor for you. So we're looking at just a nice, healthy, get a little bit extra, crystal spawn chance, and then we want to focus on getting money and we want to focus on getting drops. So I'll call this, the hybrid, hopefully get the boots from World 5 and make some money. So with this one, we're looking at just north of 1 billion, right? Then we got our drop rarity past 5, and we're making a pretty decent chunk of money. Now, the difference when we flip over to, we'll call this one just the pure damage, right? That's all you care about. You're trying to get multi-kill on one of the last maps. So with that one, we're able to get up to 2.2 billion So an increase of 1.2 billion. So this is a snowball effect, and you probably heard me talk about this a lot. The hardest thing in IdleOn is to get the first 1 million damage, and then the road to 100 million is a lot easier, and then the road to 1 billion is easy, and then getting from 1 billion to 2 billion is easy, and it's just, you know, flipping your cards around. So we'll call this the, you know, pure damage set. You're just trying to get as much damage as humanly possible, yada yada yada. Now this one is what I push with because, again, I want crystals as much as humanly possible. I want to increase my damage so I can multi-kill, but I don't want to sacrifice my experience, and I don't want to sacrifice my damage. So this is the set that I would recommend because you do want to level up your account. You don't want to just prioritize damage, and you know, that's at the expense of not getting any crystals, right? So this is what I push with, and that puts us, you know, at 1,811,000,000. So that is my balanced damage set, and as you can see, it boosts the accuracy up to, you know, 4.36 million, which then puts me at, you know, 203% crit chance. So this is a nice balance. This is what I would recommend, especially World 5 where the mobs are getting nutty. This one is just, you know, I want to take a quick picture and, you know, show my damage. And this one is, I don't really care about the damage because my poison will one tick anything anyways. And, you know, I'm just trying to get the drops, you know, trying to get over that 5 break point. That way I have a better chance of getting the boots. So that is what that is. And then let's talk about card sets. So 2 that I want to talk about would be the 30% crit chance, which is from the Hyperion Nebula. This one, I almost consider it mandatory to hit the 200% crit chance. That way you can mega crit. And then obviously you can also go into the 24%, you know, damage drop. That take us up to, you know, 2.3 billion, which it's not worth losing the mega crit. The extra 100 some million, it's just not worth losing my mega crit, you know, 100% chance. So I think I have said enough in this video. I don't want this to be a super long video that's just, you know, it's hard to compress, it's hard to follow, it's hard to, you know, follow along. Obviously, I'm going to put chapters in here because we have discussed a lot. I think this might actually become the longest video to date on the channel. But a lot of people are asking for it, and I'm nothing if not here to help you guys. So hopefully this does help. Hopefully you guys are able to push far into World 5, join up with me. And I just want to say thank you guys for everything. It definitely means the world to me, and hopefully this video can help you. But as always, I'm rambling. I'm going to shut up. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next one.